Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajagacharya Stotra Satasisi Maharaj Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Charya Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। गंगा मई की जय। जमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। सामवेद भक्तविंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the Lord's feet of Sri Sri Guru and Guranga. Lord Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Niti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Narayana Namaste Chanarunche Vam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tatujayam Gajirayat Nashta Prayesva Badresu Nityam Bhagavata Sivaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our holy obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So before we start, I was in communication with Mother Subhade about what happened yesterday. So I'm definitely prepared to talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, Text 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I can easily go to the mantra on the board now, or I'll leave you the choice if you want to pull it back to 9. I just read the whole thing, and then when you get to 12, then the devotees can also chant. That's up to you. Yeah. So we'll start with 9, and I will chant that. You don't have to repeat the chant. When we get to 12, then everybody can join me. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, which is entitled The Status Quo, Chapter 20, Conversation between Maitreya, Rishi, and Vidura. Text 9. Viduro Vacha Prajapati Pati Shvitva Prajasargi Prajapati Kim Arabhatame Brahman Prabhuhya Vyakta Margavet. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Vidura said, since you know of matters inconceivable to us, tell me, O holy sage, what did Brahma do to create living beings after evolving the Prajapatis, the progenitors of living beings? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Significant here is the word Avyakta Margavit, one who knows that which is beyond our perception. To know matters beyond one's perception, one has to learn from a superior authority in the line of disciplic succession. Just to know who is our father is beyond our perception. For that, the mother is the authority. Similarly, we have to understand everything beyond our perception from the authority who actually knows. The first Avyakta Margavit, or authority, is Brahma, and the next authority in disciplic succession is Narada. Maitreya Rishi belongs to that disciplic succession, so he also is Avyakta Margavit. Anyone in the bona fide line of disciplic succession is Avyakta Margavit. a personality who knows that which is beyond ordinary perception. Text 10. Ye maricha dayo vipra yastu swayambhuvo manu te vai brahmana adishat katam etad abhavyayan. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura inquired, how did the Prajapatis, such progenitors of living entities as Marichi and Swayambhuva Manu, create according to the instructions of Brahma? And how did they evolve this manifested universe? Text 11. Sadvitiya kim ashrijan swatantra utakamashu ahosvit samhata sarva idam spa samakalpayam. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Did they evolve the creation in conjunction with their respective wives? Did they remain independent in their action? Or did they all jointly produce it? Text 12. So that's the text for today. I'll chant that 3 times. Maiteo vacha daivena durvichakena paranena mishena cha jata shobhat bhagavato mahan asid gunatrayat. Maiteo vacha daivena durvichakena parena nimishena cha Jatak Shobhat Bhagavato Mahan Asid Gunatayat Maiteo Vacha Daivena Durvichakena Parina Nimishena Cha Jatak Shobhat Bhagavato Mahan Asid Gunatayat. Please chant. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Maitreya vacha daivena durvika kena parena nimi shenacha jata shobhat bhagavato mahanasid gunatrayat.
Hare Krishna. Maitreya uvacha daivena durabhitarkena paramena nimishena cha jata shobhat bhagavato mahanashid gunatrayat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Maitreya uvacha daivena durvitarkena parena nimishena cha jata shobhat bhagavato mahan asid gunatrayat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Maitreya uvacha daivena durvitarkena parena nimishena cha jatakshobhat bhagavato mahan asid gunatrayat.
Jai. Anyone else? All right, so we can go to the word for word. Maitreya Vacha. Maitreya said, Devena, by superior management known as destiny. Duvitarkina, beyond empiric speculation. Parena, by Mahavishnu. Animishena, by the potency of eternal time. Cha, and Jatakshobat, the equilibrium was agitated. Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead. Mahan, the total material elements, the Mahat Tattva. Asid, were produced. Gunatrayat, from the 3 modes of nature. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maitreya said, when the equilibrium of the combination of the 3 modes of nature was agitated by the unseen activity of the living entity, by Mahavishnu, and by the force of time, the total material elements were produced. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The cause of material creation is described here very lucidly. The first cause is Deva, or the destiny of the conditioned soul. The material creation exists for the conditioned soul who wanted to become a false lord for sense enjoyment. One cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over material nature, but in Vedic literature, we always find that the material creation is meant for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. There is a nice verse which says that the sum and substance of the conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord, he creates an atmosphere of sense enjoyment, which is called Maya. And that is the cause of material creation. We can go up a little bit. Okay. Another word used here is durvitarkena. No one can argue about when and how the conditioned soul became desirous of sense enjoyment. But the cause is there. Material nature is an atmosphere meant only for sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul, and it is created by the personality of Godhead. It is mentioned here that in the beginning of the creation, the material nature or prakriti is agitated by the personality of Godhead Vishnu. There are three Vishnus mentioned. One is Mahavishnu, another is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and the third is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam discusses all these three Vishnus, and here also it is confirmed that Vishnu is the cause of creation. From Bhagavad Gita also, we learn that Prakriti begins to work and is still working under Krishna's or Vishnu's glance of superintendence. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unchangeable. One should not mistakenly think that because the creation emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has therefore transformed into this material cosmic manifestation. He exists in his personal form always, but the cosmic manifestation takes place by his inconceivable potency. The workings of that energy are difficult to comprehend, but it is understood from Vedic literature that the conditioned soul creates his own destiny and is offered a particular body by the laws of nature under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always accompanies him as Paramatma. Oma Gnati Birandasya, Gyana Gana Shalakaya, Chakshu Umilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Vidati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapadakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Scha. Sri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Sa Advaitam Sa Avadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Panchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sundibhya Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari. Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari. Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari. Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Vani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gunatiche Namaha. Anandalidamaya Vigrahaya, Himavedi Vichavishindarai Tasmi Ma Prem Raspadaya, Titanya Chandaya Namo Namaste, Titanya Chandaya Namo Namaste, Titanya Chandaya Namo Namaste, Titanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So, this particular set of four texts, Canto 3, Chapter 20, Text 9, 10, 11, and 12, have a nice sequence. Vidura, as it says in the chapter title, Vidura is actually conversing with Maitreya, and Maitreya Muni is actually playing the role of the Shiksha Guru, spiritual master, and Vidura is like the disciple. So he's asking questions. First question here, well, he's asked a number of questions, but from text 9, it says, Vidura is asking, since you know matters inconceivable to us, and Srila Prabhupada spends quite a bit of time talking about Avyakta Margavit, one who knows that which is beyond our perception. And Vidura puts that fact there first before he even asks the question. He says, Maitreya Muni, since you know of matters inconceivable to us, then tell me, O holy sage, what did Brahma do to create living beings after evolving the Prajapatis, the progenitors of living beings? So, Prajapatis are the ones that helped Lord Brahma in the creation of other living beings in order to populate the universe, the other planets in the universe. So that is already presupposed, but Vidura is looking for more detail about it. Srila Prabhupada actually, in the whole purport, slanted it to this first thing that Vidura actually said about Maitreya. The Maitreya, you know of matters that are inconceivable to us. So Srila Prabhupada spends time on it, taking about Avyakta Margavit is one who knows that which is beyond our perception. As a matter of fact, he gave us example that it's easier for us to understand. There are, well, let's just talk about birth, giving birth. The mother gets pregnant and gives birth. Nobody knows but the mother, more so who was responsible for making the mother pregnant, especially the baby. The baby has no idea. The baby learns quickly about the parent that connects to the baby, and that's the mother. The baby learns that very quickly. But the father is not doing anything directly with the baby, like breastfeeding the baby and so on. That's the mother's duty. And the mother's physical body is built for that. So who is the father? The baby has no way of knowing until the one in authority who can definitely answer that question answers it for the baby, and that is the mother. So in that case, the mother becomes the authority. It's interesting, there was one time Srila Prabhupada asked the same question. How do we know the child's father? And he would throw the question out in a discussion. And many of American body devotees tried to go into science to answer that question. But then afterwards, Srila Prabhupada says, the mother knows. You just ask the mother, and the mother would know. So in this case, the mother is the authority. And there are many things, literally, our understanding of scriptures and our understanding of life will literally fall apart if we didn't literally depend on those who know what is beyond our perception. There's a description of the spiritual world. What do we know about the spiritual world? We've been gone from there a long time. So it takes someone with the authority who knows what things are like, but is beyond our perception. That personality would let us know. And then it is our duty to take what he says because it's a person in authority, and then we adjust our lives and our knowledge and the way we go about things based on that. and other things that this particular person in authority would say. So that is just the way life is. We have to understand everything beyond our perception from the authority who actually knows. And the first one in the material world of Avyakta Magavit is Lord Brahma. Now, from the material world, yes, it is Lord Brahma, but Brahma was taught by Krishna, though. That we have to be clear. And through that knowledge, Lord Brahma now was in position to choose who to tell that knowledge to. And the disciplic succession, the next is Brahma's son, Narada. And then Narada was the one that came to Vyasadeva. In fact, that was the time Vyasadeva was, in a manner of speaking, bewildered because he had written a lot of things on karmakandic kind of way, fruitive activities, and what you get if you do this and that and that. So much of the Vedas have been written that way by him without talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhakti, and also the Leelas of the Lord. So, armed with the information given to him Narada, by Lord Brahma, then that conversation took place, which is in the first canto, between Narada and Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva then composed the part of the Vedas that is very important to us, and that is Srimad Bhagavatam. So, anyone in the bona fide line of disciplic succession is Avyakta Margavit, a person who knows what is beyond our ordinary perception. Anybody in the bona fide line of disciplic succession, that is a fact. The reason is that transcendental knowledge is passed down through the disciplic succession. And that's why the parampara, the disciplic succession, is privileged to have that requisite knowledge. The knowledge is passed down, shruti, by speaking and them hearing. The next person down like that hears, and then they spread the knowledge for those who are ready to hear, for those who have turned their attention to Krishna. Then their hearts are open, their minds are ready to absorb, and their lives are adjusted accordingly. This knowledge, you probably have realized that if you come to this knowledge while you were born, later, one of the things it would do is it would change your character, without a doubt. The do's and don'ts in Krishna consciousness will adjust a person's character. Actually, the adjustment is made to get to, at the very least, more the goodness. But then we go even higher than that by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, because we also get to chant the Hare Krishna mantra and do devotional service based on what we have been instructed to do. So the life just simply adjusts like that. We have no choice. We find that it just comes automatically like that with the way bhakti is structured. So the Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, Text 7, a part of the purpose here Prabhupada talks about this. The knowledge of the Vedas is received directly from God. That's why we mentioned Krishna first before Brahma, even though in this text he talked about Brahma. From the material energy, yes, it starts with Brahma. But everything is directly received from the Lord himself. That's why in Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, first chapter, first text, by the third line there, by the third line or so, Teni Brahma Hrida Ya Adikabayi. This message was passed down to Adikabayi. Adikavi is Lord Brahma. But he was instructed by Krishna through the heart, Srila Prabhupada explains. So after receiving the Vedic instructions, then this is knowledge beyond our perception of materialists here. Brahma then distributed it to Narada, to Vyasa, and so on. Vedic knowledge became sent that way. But for us, the one that actually brought it along with his mercy is still the same Krishna, but this time come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, there's a section of the purport in chapter 7, text 66. Our process, coming down to us, we are to receive knowledge through the Parampara system, from Krishna to Brahma, then Narada, then Vyas, and then down to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed especially Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And they wrote books based on the instructions given to them. If you like, in the modern day terminology would be then lectures then given to the Goswamis by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So our understanding actually comes from the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and the six Goswamis. Lord Chaitanya makes it very, very clear to all devotees, current devotees. Talk about the scriptures, but don't change any part of it. The only leeway that we have from talking about the Shastra is to give examples. You can give examples of current things happening. Only examples. And maybe some things that have happened that relate to what's being talked about. But the main thing that's been coming from the scriptures, we have no business changing it. It shouldn't be changed. That's why the purpose from Srila Prabhupada is very, very important, because he's connected as a pure devotee to the parampara. And when he makes comments like the purpose, we very much depend on it to explain things so that we have a bigger picture or greater understanding, deeper understanding of what the verses or the texts talk about. So in text 10, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 20, text 10, Vidura is inquiring. How did the Prajapatis, he's inquiring from Maitreya Rishi, excuse me. How did the Prajapatis, and this time he gives some examples, and there's a lot of them, sons of Lord Brahma. Marichi, Swayambhuva Manu is the first Manu. He's the one through whom Devahuti came, and Devahuti was married to Kadama Muni, and then there was more instruction from the last child, who was the son, Kapila, and he gave more. Lord Kapila gave more instructions, talking to his mother Devahuti. So, how did the Prajapatis, this is Vidura's question, create according to the instruction of Brahma? And how did they evolve this manifested universe? So that was the question that was asked by him, by Vidura. So, a part of it that's very important is actually explained in Canto 4 to answer this question. Canto 4, chapter 24, text 73. So, the Prajapatis were ordered to create by Lord Brahma. What was the first thing they did? They chanted particular prayers in praise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as a result of doing that, they became free from the mode of ignorance. There is some use when it comes to the mode of passion. Passion is not always doing things that are material, but that's for sense enjoyment. But if you, like in a way of explaining, if you just take a very great initiative to go after something hard in Krishna consciousness, in bhakti, that is called spiritual passion. My spiritual masters used that terminology before. That is devotees that are working hard, but that service is actually bhakti. So if ignorance is the only thing that's mentioned, that they became free from it, they use their energy to go on with what Lord Brahma had instructed them to do, the Prajapatis did. So they chanted particular prayers, and we'll talk a little bit about those prayers. And then from that, being freed from ignorance, they started the creation. So they created different types of bodies according to karma. Now, the prayers, though, can be found, they're long, they're very long, from text 33 to text 68 of Canto 4 and chapter 24. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 24, text 33 through 68. I won't actually go through the prayers themselves, but as you know, there's a good 36 or so texts. So I will not read all of them. But we'll just describe what the texts, how the prayers are put together. But before we do that, these same prayers were actually taught to the sons of King Prachinabahi, the Prachetas. There were 10 princes. Their father was the king, Prachinabahi. Prachinabahi Shat, sometimes it's called like that. Who taught them? Well, Lord Shiva taught them, because they left the palace to go to do austerities just to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And while they were on their way, Lord Shiva met them and told them he knew what they were going to do, and he was very pleased with them. And he told them, when you start your austerities, pray this particular prayer. To the Lord Shiva took them through the prayers, which is in Canto 4, chapter 24, beginning from text 33. It ends in text 68. It is the same prayers that the Prajapatis prayed before joining in the creation, according to Lord Brahma's order. So text 33 to 44, that part of the prayer first offers obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, describes how wonderful the Lord is, and then at the end, every one of them, from 33 to 44, first 12 texts, it's all about praising the Supreme Personality of God and offering obeisances to him. Then text 45 in particular asks the Lord to, Lord Shiva is asking, Lord, please reveal your form. And then after that, Lord Shiva begins to talk about the form of the Lord. And that goes from text 46 to 52. The speeches are described from the head to the toes. It's beautiful, very beautiful. And since this is very short, we had a 2-hour lecture, I would actually go through it, but of course we don't. So that's why I'm giving you where the references are. So
Prabhu, what is the text you said?
Okay. Mataji, maybe you can put it in the chat. I'll say it again. Canto 4, chapter 24, text 33 to 68, 424, beginning from 33 to 68.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. It's up to you, Mataji, if you want to, because I mean, I have to do text 11 and text 12 too, and that's why I didn't really go to the text themselves. So 33 to 34 is 33 to 44, the first 12 texts, offers obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by many properties about him, his ways that Lord Shiva is describing. And then text 45, Lord Shiva says, please reveal your form. And so begin from 46 to 52 then, the Lord Shiva describes the Lord's form from his head to his toes. It's very beautiful. And then text 53 to the last one, text 68. That is about, that's 16 texts. That's about the mercy of the Lord and the power of the Lord and the necessity that there is that for us to depend on him in all activities, in all circumstances, all activities of devotional service. So I haven't really said the text themselves, but at least a description of it. First, 12 offering obeisances. Second one, text 45 is to reveal the Lord's form, and then 46 to 52 describes the Lord's form, and then the mercy and the power of the Lord, which is actually very necessary for the Prachetas to be able to be successful in doing the pujas and also the austerity they were going to perform. So the Prajapatis were also going to do service in creation, helping Lord Brahma. And so they also prayed the same prayer. Now, back to this chapter 11, text 11, Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 20, text 11. The question is asked by Vidura. Did they evolve the creation in conjunction with their respective wives? This is the Prajapatis. Did they do it with their wives? Did they remain independent in their own actions? Or did they jointly produce it? Okay. Now, obviously, this question is asked of Maitreya Rishi. Now, I took the trouble to go through a lot of texts following this, and I will just simply summarize what I saw from researching that Lord Brahma, he himself can produce from parts of his body. His mind can produce, even his backside can produce, something he contemplates produce, his chest can produce, he can produce like that. But the sons of Brahma, they produced through their wives. So in general, this is what happened. They produced, because the question is, did they evolve in conjunction with their respective wives? Did they remain independent in their action, or did they jointly produce it? Each one produced with his wife. So that's very similar to the way things go on in this particular earth here. At least we don't produce so many other things, but we produce other children of the same physical body type as we are. But the Prajapatis produce a lot more. Animals, trees, and so on, they all came, but it's still through their wives, though. So Aditi with Kashyapa Muni. Kashyapa is also a Prajapati, of course, Daksha. They're not mentioned here, but they all did produce. So today's text 12. Maitreya is beginning to respond to the questions by Vidura. When the equilibrium of the combination of the three modes of nature was agitated by the unseen activity of the living entity and by Mahavishnu and by the force of time, then the total material elements were produced. So Maitreya Rishi starts from the very beginning of how things came to be in the material world, beginning with Mahavishnu. Now, the equilibrium of the three modes, combination of the three modes of material nature. Three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So the material nature is actually first called pradhan when the modes of material nature are not agitated. The same nature, material nature, is called pradhan. Now, when through Mahavishnu, the modes of material nature are agitated, then it's called prakriti. So, and it's minor technical, but it's still important. So prakriti now, when the three modes of material nature is agitated, now the material world now, its construction, it's known as prakriti. So Mahavishnu, and it says also presumed here, which is nice. I saw the Mahavishnu, and by the force of time. By the force of time. Well, Mahavishnu is the one that actually creates time. Even though it says by the force of time, because time is actually the one that makes things go on and they get annihilated at the end for everything in the material world. Everything has a time that it starts, time that it stays for a while, period of time that it stays for a while, and the time that it gets annihilated. Birth, and then sustenance, and then death. For everything in the material world. So Mahavishnu, he establishes time and also through his force, the material universes come to be. So in the purport for this particular text, the cause of material nature is described quite clearly. The destiny of the conditioned soul, that is Deva. The destiny of the conditioned soul means what they want, and therefore the kind of body that would give them what they want. All of that is taken into consideration. Actually, I should say the bodies are based on what we want, because we are also in it in the material world. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying the material creation exists for the conditioned soul who wants to be a false lord, who wants to just have sense enjoyment. And then, of course, the actions create the karma, and then the reactions from there. The activities form after time goes on, what the consciousness of the person becomes, and then, of course, later they have to take a body to go through the results of what they have committed. Well, however lifetimes it takes, then it's all arranged for them. Different bodies, 8,400,000 types of bodies, one at a time, chosen. So the material world is for those who are wanting sense enjoyment. If we didn't want sense enjoyment, if we didn't want to take Krishna's position, we would still be in the spiritual world. And since we wanted Krishna's position, we wanted to enjoy being the leader for ourselves, we were put in the material world. So the material world is for those who want to be leaders on their own self, even though it's false. The Lord is the supreme leader. So the material world is created for that. Now, we bring this up because Srila Prabhupada has mercifully told us not to get so connected to the material world. We are also in the material world, but we're not trying to live the type of lifestyle that those who want to lord it over material energy are living. They are going through sense enjoyment. We are being programmed to understand that this place will not give us real happiness. And the best thing to do is to prepare to go back by starting to do the things that are done there in great flexibility, which we don't have as much of. I'm talking about the spiritual world. Bhakti there's so much more to do bhakti with. But at least here we're practicing along the same thoughts, bhakti. So the world is not, well, the devotee who comes to the realization of how things are, they say, well, this world is not for me. I want to get out. But everybody else says, I want to enjoy. Material conditions. I want to enjoy. Even those without human bodies, they also want to enjoy. You go around looking for food and looking for the things that makes them happy, whatever they call happiness. All entities in the material with these physical bodies want some sort of enjoyment. But devotees know that the enjoyment never really comes. Only convenience we get when we think that that's very satisfactory. So only convenience. But so many trials and tribulations are there. So the sum and substance, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, of a conditioned sense enjoyment is how it happens is what Srila Prabhupada is describing. He forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord. Well, that would happen because if we think that we want to be leaders, then leader wants to be what? Controller. They don't want to be a servant. So a person begins to think that they want to be the controller, then immediately the idea of serving someone that's higher, that goes out the window. They don't want that. So then that duty to serve the Lord, rendering devotion service to the Lord, that becomes at the very back, the bleachers of the mind, and they don't even bother about it anymore. They forget the primary duty. See, the Prabhupada does that. Describes that. So then they put their effort into sense enjoyment. I keep saying they, even though we know we're part of it, but we are obviously being schooled to do the right thing, not to forget the Supreme Personality of God and not to stay in sense enjoyment. So I'm talking about non-devotees, they just creating the atmosphere, work hard to create an atmosphere for sense enjoyment. And that's the cause of material creation because of what people want to do, what the entities want to do. So material nature is an atmosphere meant for sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. The Supreme Personality of God has created it that way. And there's no deliberate, extensive preparation for that. 3 Vishnus, Mahavishnu, the pause of Mahavishnu, when he breathes out, cause the universes to come. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters each universe, and from Lord Brahma, who comes from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the whole point of having to make the varieties of each universe, that's also done. That is set into motion. Just like we saw earlier, the Prajapatis, Vidu was asking questions about how did they go about helping Lord Brahma in the creation. So that's from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. The third is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the Vishnu in every single atom. And also for the living entities, he's in the heart. Active in the heart of all living entities. Passive in the atoms. He's in the atoms, but for when the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is dictating, helping us through our intelligence what to and what not to do. That's for living entities. But the Lord is everywhere. And why we say the Lord is everywhere in the material world is because Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is present in every single atom, according to what Srila Prabhupada explains to us. Again, the same point of empiric speculation is not there anymore. We have to take authority. Srila Prabhupada says that's the way it is. So we have to accept it. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is present in every single atom. And that way the Lord is everywhere. So those are the 3 Vishnus. Now, all of the things that the devotee wants, that's made available for preparation to leave. So that's one, to leave the material world. That's one aspect. And then the other part of it is the rest of what's available in the material world that non-devotees go after for sense gratification. So those are the 2 things that are going on. Devotees preparing to get out and practicing how to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's happening here in the material world. And then the rest of the people who think that they can control things. And of course, when there's disagreement as to, I want to control this way, I want that control that way, people fight. And then on a national basis, it becomes wars, which is what's going on now. Many of the so-called powerful nations are at war at this point. So, Paramatma, as we talked about, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is Paramatma. He's an expansion of the Lord that accompanies the living entity to the material world. And there's a distinction that needs to be made. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, as Supersoul, is an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accompanies the living entity to the material world and guides the living entity. He supervises and also permits the activities of the living entity. So even if the living entity does something, they want to do something, right or wrong, right, of course, the Lord permits. Wrong, they will be permitted, but they will be warned first. There is repercussions. There is reprisal. There's going to be chastisement later on for what you do. So the Lord, in his merciful form, informs the person's intelligence. So always when a person is going to do something that is not right, there will be that little voice before that activity is done that will warn that there is consequence for doing something wrong. So that is there only as the mercy of the Lord, as Paramatma, to get us to think just before we do something that's negative. And if we decide to do the negative thing anyway, well, Krishna does not interfere with our free will or free choice. Krishna doesn't interfere with that. So then you can do, but again, it means that later there will be the reactions to it. It might even determine the next body, what happens, the kind of body we take. And even if we don't want that body, so the Prabhupada says, we will be forced to go into that body. That we don't have say in it. We may do things, but the next body, if we're not going back to Godhead, the next body is determined by a superior power, and we have no say in that. How long we're going to live is also determined by superior power. We have no say in that. But still, we have the free will. So if we try to cut our lives short through frustration or whatever it is, and we commit suicide, the period of time we're supposed to live on this earth does not change. We still have to live the entire period of life, even after we've taken the physical body, which means we will have a situation where we have the subtle body, we are the soul, subtle body and the soul is still here, which means a person will be in a ghost body. So suicide automatically puts a person in a ghost body for the period of time that's left. And the way Srila Prabhupada describes it, a ghost's life is very, very, very uncomfortable, very unhappy, and very traumatic for them. I don't go into great detail of what goes on, but most of ghosts are not, very friendly to each other. First of all, they like sense gratification, but they don't have a physical body for sense gratification. And they also can, in fact, perceive things. And they see, you can go anywhere because it goes through any kind of material thing. You can go to a house and get out of the house. You don't need the door to open or lock or unlock. No. They can come. So they see what people who are in their physical bodies still are doing, enjoying their senses. And they want to be part of it, but they can't because they don't have that type of body. And so that makes ghosts literally envy people who are alive. And they also know what they did because they had a physical body before they committed suicide. They had a physical body. They could enjoy those things, material sense enjoyment if they wanted, but now they've cut themselves off. And that period of time they were supposed to leave the body, they will stay as a ghost until that time comes, before they are actually allowed to go on to the next existence, which isn't going to be that great because they already done a horrible thing of taking their lives, stopping their physical body's activity by causing themselves to die prematurely. So this is what suicide does. We have to be very, very, very careful to it. I know devotees won't do that. They shouldn't do that. A few devotees have done it. Unfortunately, for all that we know, it's interesting that some people make a decision like that. But it has happened. And so you got to be careful, at least to explain to others if they have those kind of tendencies, suicide tendencies. It means you're going into a ghost body, you're not leaving, and it's horrible. Anyway, you come back to this. The material world is the way it is. It's not going to make us totally happy. So even though things have been put together by the Prajapatis because we wanted our desires fulfilled, we wanted to be leaders, material world has been put there. It is imperative that we understand through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara, this is no place for us. And real happiness won't come. Real happiness is in the spiritual world. But we try hard to serve here, and Krishna will give us some sense of, one, peace, two, spiritual happiness, a little bit of it. We will get some semblance of it. But that's all depends on how willing we are to put our effort into serving genuinely. The one thing that goes against devotees especially is niyamagraha, as described in Nectar of Instruction. So we know about bhakti, but we shouldn't take it lightly to do it just to do it. We should have a reason. And the good reason is we're going back home. We're trying to get other people to also become Krishna conscious because that's what Krishna wants. Tell as many people, as Lord Chaitanya told us, spread the word as much as possible. They need to chant the holy name of the Lord. We do all of that, then we are becoming not only helpful to ourselves. My Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj explained that when we serve other devotees, that's when the Lord becomes even more pleased with us. Yes, we have our sadhana, we have our chanting, we have our regulated principles, but the more we serve other devotees and people in general, the happier Krishna becomes with us and the greater the chance of going. So it's not really a matter of helping your own self. It's actually about helping others too. And then even a broader one, helping the whole society, coming up with ideas that help the whole society and doing as best you can to get those ideas implemented. That's what Krishna is looking for. That's what Srila Prabhupada becomes happy if we do. So, yes, the material world is here. The more things have been described, the Prajapatis and their role that they play. But after we know, we've been told what this material world is about, we should take it very, very seriously, the whole opportunity we have to go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Shira Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you for coming on, giving me the opportunity to do the service. And now this is time for devotees to unmute themselves who want to ask questions, share some realizations, even corrections, and let's have some discussion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you also for covering 9 through 11. Yesterday, we were not able to do justice to them.
Krishna's mercy. I don't know what I did justice, but that's another point. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. The idea that we can never be happy here, and how useless that attempt is, it just boggles my mind. We still continue to try and make ourselves comfortable in a place that we will never be comfortable, and how many of us are still going on trying to do that. And how long it took me to understand that also just boggles my mind. The question about ghosts, you said they will continue to exist in that ghost existence till the natural time comes, or the determined time comes. Are they able to, I mean, we've always been scared of ghosts. I think now I'm scared of ghosts only because I know that they are they're even more in a worse position than we are in. So in that way, I am in that way I am scared of them. But we've always thought of ghosts as torturing us. Those of us who have bodies. Is that possible then for them? Are they able to make life difficult for us?
The way my spiritual master described it, in this whole thing, the ghost versus us in these physical bodies. Ghosts actually envy us because with the physical bodies, we're able to enjoy our senses more. They can't do that, what we can do. But they can observe us doing it. And that's what brings this whole thing about, I'm here. Remember, ghosts, most of the time, not devotees, very few devotees ever become ghosts because of the knowledge that we have. So they still are ones that want to enjoy the senses. They gave up on life for one reason or another. But then many people, kill themselves, committed suicide, not realizing that this is what was going to happen next, that they will be in a ghost body. So it is a shock to them that, one, they thought they have ended their life, but actually they've put themselves in an ethereal situation, and life is even more horrible then. And so then we become the people who are trying to enjoy ourselves if we're a non-devotee, but they are a group of people who don't really, who actually, I shouldn't say they hate us, they don't, but they're envious of what we can do that they cannot do. And that's why they pull pranks. For the most part, that's what ghosts do. And if you get scared of them, oh, they love it. That's the problem. Because they really can't do anything to you, but they want to give you the feeling that they have power over you. And that's the thing, you know. I've had experiences with that before, but from what I know, they can, you know, if you think you can correspond to them without even having to talk, just think whatever they know already, because they're already in the ethereal body. So personally, I want them. I won't get away from me. You go pay the price for it. So no, they're not to be. You're not to be scared of them, because yeah, as my Guma, in his words directly, he said, fear feeds them. You know, because they're envious of you being able to do more than they can do. So if they can get you scared, oh yeah, I got something on them now. That's their feeling. That's what they do. But they can't change the world for nothing. They really can't. But sometimes they can concentrate their energy, because they do have energy, just like we all do, subtle energy, and even try to transform it to move some things around the house.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've had one situation that in the middle of a night, with no problem going on in our townhouse that we live in, the smoke alarm went off. 1:30 in the morning, the smoke alarm went off. Now, I didn't tell my family members. I knew they were going to be scared of me, but I knew it was a ghost that did it. So then I communicated, I said, you come here again. I'm going to extend the life of your ghost. I'm going to curse you to extend. And end the story. The last smoke alarm went off. We didn't hear any problem anymore. So yeah, sometimes they're bothersome because they want to get at you because you're enjoying. To them, you have a body for sense gratification and they don't, and they get at us like that. We haven't done anything to them, but it's their envy of our situation.
Is it also true that if they take their life, that will happen also if they die an untimely death in an accident? Is that also the case, or that's not? Is that a punishment?
The death has to be the fault of the person who did it.
Okay.
Deliberately did it. Whatever the reason is, deliberately did it. Then
only then.
Yeah, only then.
The other point that you made today that really made me think is how there is a voice inside that tells you you're making a wrong choice.
Oh, that always comes.
We don't listen to that voice.
Yeah, sometimes.
That is very, and that is Krishna's voice telling us. And we
Paramatma,
Yes, that.
But you can, it's good that you brought it up, Mataji, but you can train yourself to ask questions, what to do next, be in prayer as to, what to go from one point to another in our daily lives. In fact, you can start the very, when you wake up and say the simple prayer that, dear Gurudev, dear Lord Chaitanya, let these days, all the decisions be according to what you want. You start your day like that. Then you're more likely to hear the warnings when the warnings come, and and some things sometimes it will be even cut off. You try to do something, it won't happen, but later on you find out that it was best that it got cut off because you've actually requested that your day be handled. Yeah, your day be handled. It's a very good prayer actually. You pray in your own words, please, whatever you want, and whatever my day, for my day today, whatever I do, let it be according to what you want. Yeah, that kind of prayer is very powerful in the whole life. It's like that if you do day by day by day, that short prayer, then things will be handled for us. And our ego will be in the back, basically. We won't make too many decisions. The decisions will be made for us using the same mind, but this time is the Lord in the heart directing it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for this wonderful discussion also. Vinyavali, I see you on mute yourself. Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Lord.
Mata.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble
Yep,
obeisance.
fine, go see the profile.
When I was younger, somewhere, and I heard, then when you have again, I'm coming to the ghosting discussion.
Yeah, about
When
the ghost, yeah.
when we pray, when we have godly atmosphere in the house, like like prayers and God. Most of the time, we think of God and doing prayers and everything.
Yeah.
That kind of house, there won't be any chance of that ghost coming or anything like that. Is that right?
Well, they can come through there and go, but they will not bother anybody. They will not bother anybody. They can come through there and go. They can come through there, but they don't have an effect on anyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But more importantly, devotees shouldn't be afraid of them.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. See, Prabhupada in this Lilamita, there was a property that he got that many people were not trying to get. And it was haunted. But Srila Prabhupada went in there, and the ghost did in fact come around, but Srila Prabhupada talked to him. If there's that feeling, if anyone experiences a ghost, just tell them to chant.
Yeah.
Tell the ghost to chant Hare Krishna. See how they. I know what happens because I've done it before. Just tell them to chant Hare Krishna. Just feel sorry for them. Say, I know what you're doing, and you you need help. So chant the Holy Lord's name. This is how you're gonna chant the Lord's name.
Yeah.
Actually, usually most of them, if you tell them to chant the Lord's name, they'll go away immediately. They don't want to do it, but they don't want to stick around either. Yeah. Anyway, interesting. Hare Krishna. Hey.
Yeah. Talking about ghosts, I remember some devotee narrate some stories that in the beginning when they got the Bhaktivedanta Manor in England.
Yeah.
And there was ghosts there. And yeah, there was ghosts and devotee was, just getting all kind of nightmare and walking in the middle of the night and just get all kind of, get possessed by the ghost. And Prabhupada just chant Hare Krishna. That's the only thing Prabhupada recommended, like you said,
Yeah. And they'll go
if you encounter any kind of ghost place.
Yeah. A good bit of the time, the property, if it's obtained, there is somebody that probably got it first. They had built, and then they've lost their lives. And actually, that's not even sometimes because we still have strong desires. There's desires are there. A person may leave the body, not through their faults. If you leave through your fault, you commit suicide, and of course you'll be in a ghost body. You'll be forced to do a ghost body. Some people who die naturally, whatever the reason, not suicide, they can go on to the next existence, but they have attachment. Maybe they were quite wealthy, they had mansion, and a mansion that they liked very much, they were living in it, and now death has come to take them away. And rather than go on to the next situation that's supposed to happen, they want to stick around. We have that kind of free will that if the person doesn't want to go yet, he will not be forced to go. So then they'll stay a little longer, and this is what happens, especially if they've died in an accident situation. They were young, and they don't like the idea that they died that young. In fact, that was supposed to happen, and they still want to stick around. Well, in that situation, that's what they want. They'll be in a ghost body. And what would they do? They would come to the house and try to haunt somebody. This is happening right now. There was one basketball player that was very, very, very popular, very good basketball player. He died in a helicopter accident. He was just going in the morning, young guy, African-American guy, going to a particular program that he was supposed to be the guest of honor and so on. Yeah, the morning it was foggy, and the helicopter pilot did not see what he was doing. Probably hit the side of a hill. Thing just landed, and everybody died. Pilot and this particular person. So why am I saying that? Well, we had a nice mansion in California. There were other rich basketball players that, of course, the house was put out for sale. His wife got out of there, lived in a different place. and they put the house up for sale. Then I found out from what happened, another popular basketball player, in fact, I would just call my name, Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan bought the house and bought the house fairly inexpensively. And he intended to use the house. Well, it didn't last that long. About a month or so after he bought the house, I'm not sure, don't hold me to the time. He left. He said he can't stay in the house. You cannot stay in the house. He's very uncomfortable in the house. He didn't explain, but as soon as he said that, I put two and two together and I said, The owner of the house, the first basketball player, hated the fact that he had lost the house, so he stuck around in there. And he's not allowing anyone to live there comfortably because he's lost the opportunity to live there. So he said nobody else is going to live there like that. That also happens. So, these are all intricacies that go on in the material world. But for us, by Sir Papa's mercy, we're headed to the spiritual world anyway. So let them have their fun in the material. As far as I'm concerned, I don't worry about, what they're doing. Hare Krishna. Anyway, any other questions or comments? If not, we're just going past 9 o'clock. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you again. Vanchakalpatarubhishya.
Paditanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna.